Down here on pit lane ahead of the Hy-Vee one-step 250, and you can see behind me Colton Herta's car is just getting set to go along with about 27 other drivers. In Tempe, the story takes a turn though, Sammy, and for a Sun Devil team that had more lows than highs this season, it's going to take a lot to turn the ship around, especially considering the team had its worst regular season since the 2015-16 season. It's highly unlikely the Sun Devils can run the table and win their first conference title. But hey, what about the first round? Well, ASU tips off against Utah at 8:30 Arizona time on March 13th. I've always thought about what I'd do if I earned a $260 million contract. You ever think about that? Maybe take to the skies, run a private jet? I mean, come on, a private chef and a gassed up jet at my disposal doesn't sound too bad. But hey, unfortunately for me, I'm not Tyrese Halliburton. The former Cyclone got paid late last night. The All-Star guard agreed to a 5-year, $260 million max contract extension. Another men's hoops offseason means one thing and one thing only: more portal madness. ASU men's basketball head coach Bobby Hurley has already found some talent that he believes will make an impact at ASU.
Yesterday, NASCAR came to town for the Shriners Children's 500.
That's right, Sammy. High-octane racing was back in the Valley as NASCAR returned to Phoenix Raceway on Sunday. While many drivers tried to tame the 1-mile oval, it was Christopher Bell who walked away with the trophy. Our own Sam Valenti has more on the race. Coach, so while class for people like us here at the desk may be dismissed in the summer, plenty of work still to be done when it comes to Arizona State football in the offseason. So as you head into this period of time, what do you know about your football team as it stands today?
I know they believe in what we're trying to get accomplished. I know they have a passion and a chip on their shoulder. Either the chip on their shoulder from the guys that were here last year or the chip on their shoulder from the guys that transferred here and it didn't go great in whatever way, shape, or form their circumstance dictated last year. So we have a lot of guys with a chip on their shoulder.
A lot of fun out here, but all the action yesterday was out of the Champions Course as PGA Tour players and their partners were out on the links having fun for a good cause. TPC Scottsdale took on a life of its own on Saturday as the party began to roar too loud. Scottsdale police closed the gates to ticket holders due to overcrowding, and the event stopped selling alcohol early in the afternoon. The calendar is flipped from June to July, and with it, the Big 12 officially welcomes its newest members to the conference. They were already on the future schedules, but today it's official. University of Arizona has announced its next athletic director earlier today. Desiree Reed-Francois was the AD at Missouri for nearly 3 years until she signed a 5-year contract with the Wildcats. Iowa State athletes are happy to be able to make a little bit of extra money, all while impacting the community. And it really feels like a slam dunk. Of course, rain and lightning can spell disaster for golfers and fans alike. And with tournament play approaching soon, concerns still loom. Wakanda will be shutting down the golf course on June 20th, so the 19th is the last day that members out here have to play and the last chance for them to get some golf in.
Alabama's athletic director Greg Byrne is in town. He used to be the AD at Arizona, stopped by the Cronkite Sports Bureau and chatted with our Ethan Tuttle.
Here alongside Greg Byrne, athletic director of Alabama. Greg, obviously some huge news as Alabama just got its first ever Final Four appearance. What's the excitement level like in Tuscaloosa, and what did you have to say to head coach Nate Oates after that victory?
Well, it was obviously a very special thing for our program, for the young men on our team, the coaches, the staff, but our fans. You know, people think of Alabama, they think of football with our history. We've won national championships in 5 different sports at Alabama, including football. And so whatever we do, there's a lot of attention to it. So, you know, our fan base was fired up. Somebody sent me a picture when we beat, or a video when we beat Clemson to go to the national championship, go to the Final Four, and it was an overhead shot in Tuscaloosa, and you could hear all this hooting and hollering and celebrating that was going on, and so it's something that's really special across the board. After the game, you know, I just hugged Coach Oates, and he's you know, I've told people that he was a high school teacher 11 years ago, and I love the story about him selling Capri Suns and Cheetos out of his classroom to earn gas money so he could take his team on trips. And so he's a teacher at heart. He's a really good basketball coach. He's ahead of the curve. But he also cares very much about the young men in the program, and they care about him. And so it really was a surreal moment for everybody involved. But it's great to be out here in Phoenix. Selfishly, I wish we could have been in Atlanta or Dallas or someplace that our folks could drive to a little bit easier this week. but we're not complaining. We're very happy to be here in Arizona, and the folks here in Phoenix are doing a wonderful job of hosting our team and the other teams.
Yeah, so Alabama obviously a powerhouse on and off the field as well, with NIL kind of coming into the college football landscape these past few years. How does Alabama innovate in that area?
Well, if anybody says they've got it figured out, I'm not sure if they know what they're talking about. It's evolving quickly, and it's a reality. There are some really good name, image, and likeness opportunities for student athletes across the country. You know, at our place, Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy and had a lot of really good NIL deals with Nissan, with Dr. Pepper, had one with BMW. Montana Fouts on our softball team, she has done really well from an NIL standpoint because of the market value that she has. But there's also a lot of them that maybe, recruiting complicates things, and it creates probably some NIL opportunities that a lot of people would say are really good, but others, it's just you're uncharted waters without any navigation for it at all. And so we're doing our best to make sure we're paying attention to what's taking place. I've told our coaches and our staff we don't need to be the leader in NIL, but we got to make sure we continue to evolve with what the marketplace requires.
A question I'm sure you've gotten a lot over the past few months, how do you replace a guy like Nick Saban, of course, the former head coach of Alabama football, arguably, if not the greatest coach in college football history. But I want to take a little bit of a different angle. What are you going to miss about Nick Saban as a person in that locker room the most?
Well, he's one of the great communicators of our time. He's very thoughtful in everything that he says. He knows the words that come out of his mouth have a tremendous meaning, are paid attention to nationally. He and I were just in Washington, D.C. a couple weeks ago with a bunch of senators talking to him about NIL. And so we're going to miss his leadership. He's still going to be on campus. He's actually an advisor still for us. His office is now down at Bryant-Denny Stadium instead of where our offices are. He'll still have influence. What he has an opportunity, though, because so many people listen to him and so many people respect him, he has an opportunity to make a difference to where we can make sure we create a model in college sports that is sustainable for the long haul, to where we can have broad-based programming. When we were back there, Senator Cruz asked me, where's the money going to come from? And I said, I'm worried about our Olympic sports. And he pushed me on it in a public setting. And he said, what sports are you concerned for? I said, I'm concerned for swimming. I'm concerned for tennis. I'm concerned for track and field. I'm concerned for any of the sports because at our place we have 21 sports. One of them makes a healthy profit in football. One of them barely turns a profit in men's basketball. And 19 sports lose a lot of money every year. And those sports are really important, and the experience those young people have in those programs, it's really important that we offer those opportunities. But the money's going to come from somewhere. As much as people think there is an unlimited supply of money, there's not. And we make challenging financial decisions all the time as a department, whether you're here, Arizona State, Arizona, or Maine. It's just part of the environment that we're in.
College sports have been insanely popular and growing rapidly since the NCAA took over television broadcasts of its sporting events in the 1950s. Now the NCAA puts on one of, if not the most successful sporting events in the world, March Madness. In fiscal year 2023, the NCAA netted $873 million on the media rights deal for the event, a staggering number that continues to rise. But college athletes currently see $0 of that money. And surprisingly, it's one former college swimmer that is standing up to challenge the NCAA for a share of TV media revenue to be dispersed to college athletes from the past, present, and future. This is Grant House, the lead plaintiff in House v. NCAA, an antitrust lawsuit that seeks the right to grant college athletes a chunk of TV broadcast revenue from the NCAA. With multiple antitrust cases already stacked against the NCAA, some involving current and former college athletes, people are starting to take notice.
The NCAA's got a freight train coming down the tracks right at it. And it's called the House case, and it's being litigated by a lawyer named Jeffrey Kessler, who won the Alston case.
Yes. House versus the NCAA. This is a case that could totally upend college football as you know it.
I was first approached actually during 2020, the summer of COVID, by a teammate's mother Kind of just wanted my background on my experience as an Olympic sport athlete. Turned into being the plaintiff and the representative, lead plaintiff of the case.
House, a student athletic advisory council member at the time, was initially met with criticism for speaking out against the NCAA.
There was a lot of pushback initially of like, why are you doing this? Like, you're wrong. Like, this is going to ruin like college sports. And I just thought that was such a limited mindset. No one was asking like, why is this happening? How can we actually move forward? What is going to be the future of sports?
But soon things took a turn, thanks to numerous voices from prominent programs across the country coming to the forefront in support of House.
These big, powerful individuals, athletic directors, head coaches of Power 5, dominant Big Ten schools speaking out in favor of it, really made a huge shift towards how everyone looked at it.
The case was granted class action status back on November 3rd of 2023 by a Northern California District Court judge, a development that could put the NCAA on the hook for hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars.
But they're also looking for back down like broadcast revenue, which would be really tricky. So you're talking about, hundreds of millions of dollars potentially that the organization would get stuck with.
But that's not even the worst part of it for the NCAA, because federal antitrust cases come with a significant cost, and with thousands of potential class action clients in play, it could go from bad to worse in a hurry.
An entity that's violated the Sherman Act under antitrust law, you can be subject to treble damages, which means any damages that you find off the case, which are usually pretty large in antitrust cases, they get tripled.
Hernandez thinks that the NCAA will settle in all likelihood. If not, it could cause a number of problems for Division II and III schools that rely on money from the NCAA to keep their athletic programs afloat, including Division I Olympic sports.
Now, we need to force them to keep sports at the university through legislation and collective bargaining.
Former collegiate cross-country runner and SAC president Andrew Cooper has experience fighting for the rights of college athletes. In 2020, he was a key figure in a group that successfully persuaded the NCAA to grant eligibility relief to athletes that had their season cut short due to the pandemic. Now he's lobbying for TV revenue to be dispersed to college athletes, similar to how it is at the professional level.
Athletes should get their fair share. Let's just say it's half, because that is the model in professional sports. But then your sport should get the percentage that your sport delivers.
With a vastly smaller portion of viewership going to Olympic sports, Cooper says they can still be subsidized through university endowments, Olympic funding, and state funding as well. Cooper also believes the downfall of the NCAA is slowly nearing, with conference realignment happening more frequently, causing increased chaos in college athletics.
I think eventually the NCAA, the Power 5, now the Power 4, soon to be the Power 2, they will realize they will make a lot more money if they consolidate and merge. And it seems that the Power 2 is aware of that and is making an effort to break away from the NCAA.
So the NCAA needs to figure out an answer soon, or else we're going to have all these separate orientations and entities operating on their own.
House is hopeful his case will open the door for future college athletes.
Some of it's just allowing some student athletes to have some pride in what they're doing, what they are, and really opening that room of possibility and that door of possibilities and opportunity for them to step through and to capture if they want to.
We reached out to the NCAA for an interview regarding the House case, but they declined to comment. House versus NCAA is expected to go to court in January 2025. In Tempe, Ethan Tuttle, Cronkite News.